Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today we're continuing on in the book of Psalm with Psalm 53. Now, if you've already read it, you might be feeling a little discouraged. You might be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because it can seem a little depressing. You see, David in this psalm is looking around and he's saying, who actually loves God? Everyone is evil. Everyone is corrupt. Everyone is making bad choices. Doom, doom, doom. Let's read it together. Psalm 53, beginning in verse 1. David says, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt and their ways are vile. There is no one who does good. God looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. Everyone has turned away. All have become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one." He's having a bad day. Okay, I don't know if something happened to him and he's just upset, but you know what? We can relate, can't we? Have you had times where you felt like everything is just going bad? Or you look at the news or you see what's happening in our world and you're like, where is the hope? Nothing good is happening. You're seeing evil people rise up and take power and control and make decisions, maybe in your workplace or in your neighborhood or in the government, and it can become so discouraging. And maybe you felt like David before, where you're like, God, is there even one person who loves you? I don't think so. This is relatable, but we have to recognize even in these feelings that God is still at work. Yes, there is evil in the world, and yes, there are evil people. But God is our victor. And so even when we're in a state where we feel similar to David in this psalm, where we feel depressed, we feel down, maybe even anxious or fearful over all the things going on or evil seeming to prevail, we need to be reminded that judgment is coming. And with that, what our focus should be on is the hope of our salvation. Listen to what David says now in verse 6. He says, "Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion. When God restores his people, let Jacob rejoice and Israel be glad." He ends this monologue of despair with saying, but my hope is in the Lord, and I will rejoice in the salvation that is coming, and I will also pray for the salvation of others. When you begin to get discouraged, when you begin to get down, maybe you're focusing on the wrong things. You see, when we see the scoreboard and we see that we're behind, we might feel frustrated and want to give up and throw in the towel. But we need to remember the whole word of God, that he is our victor, that salvation is possible through Jesus Christ, not only for us, but for everyone. And so as long as we have breath in our lungs, we want to be on mission to be a part of what God is doing. Pray today for God to give you eyes to see what he is doing. Eyes to see through the sin, through the bad things that are happening, the turmoil in the world. And God, would you help me to see your goodness, your grace, your mercy? God, would you help me to see people around me who need you, who you have placed me in their sphere of influence, that I could speak life into them? Because if we as believers sometimes feel discouraged and despair, think how those who don't know God must feel. And yet we have the hope that comes from Jesus Christ. So let's take our frustrations, our despair, our disappointment, our discouragement, and turn that energy into hope in the Lord and the fulfilling of his mission in this world. Hey, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.